Now let us try and make the disc, this right here, which is part of the head of the screw. So that disc has a diameter of 32.5 millimeters, and then the thickness is going to be 2.5. Okay, so I want to show you first that if you go back to your screw and you view the work you've done, where's my screw go? Okay, here. So that view is okay. What about your left view? That view is also okay. So later on, what we can do is extrude this cylinder a little bit, because we're not going to have, if you notice, this part is flushed, and we can build the disc on top, so we're okay. We'll fix it later at the end. For now, let's carry on with the disc that we want here. So to create a disc, we're basically going to, we have a couple of things that we can do. First is make sure that we are on our world plane, and then we're going to move our system of coordinate system to this top plane. So if you click on that part, then move to the center, and then align it with the x-axis. Okay, now we have our x, y, and z coordinate system on top of this plane. And that's excellent, because then when we go to the circle command, we can basically go to this point, which will be 0 and 14, and we will have a diameter, I thought I said 32, just to double check. Yeah, 32 millimeters. Okay, so then when we go to our extrusion, we choose this guy, and then it's going to be 2.5 millimeters, which, just to double check, is 2.5 millimeters. Okay, let's see, maybe if I go 3 layers, there you go. So if you go to your main layer, there you go. Now look at this, there's a radius here. So that radius could be fixed or created by going to your command line and typing your curving tool, your curving command, and then you're going to choose your curves. So it's going to be this curve, and you're going to choose a radius. So let's do a radius of 1. Let's see how aggressive that is. Enter. Oh, that's pretty cool. So I think that will be good enough. Okay, so if you notice, and go to isometric view, we have our edge with our radius, which is pretty much what we want, and you can go back and maybe if you want a more aggressive radius, you can choose 1.2 or just check the radius to the point that you're comfortable with. And it's also manufacturable, like it's easy to do. Or if you use a 3D printer or something, that will be within the tolerances of your printer. Alright, so one thing that we need to do is go back to our global coordinate, and then this part will be transitioning to a layer called disc. Alright, cool. So if you check on your layer, and we go to our disc layer, now it's if you check it has red edges, it's because we move it to a layer. Now the body will not be red because we're on a view that is telling us what color to keep how to render the 3D parts so we can see them. Okay, so you can just go up here and change your setting, and then you'll see them by layer. Okay, at the end we'll just have everything on the same layer if we need to, but for now we can continue drawing on our stuff. So what we need to do is do this polygon. So for the polygon, we're gonna create the polygon on the center of the disk, and it's going to be, let's do the following. Let's create the polygon within a cylinder, within a circle, and the circle is going to be 22.6. So let's do the same thing. Let's create a circle, and we're gonna be creating a circle on top of the center of this disk. So first of all, let's go ahead and hide or isolate these parts. So go to isolate, hide objects, and then we're ready for drawing this guy. So we're gonna move our view to the top of the circle, and I was right there. So if you notice, once you place it, there you go. Okay, very well. Okay, perfect. So in this case, if you notice, I got my Y and Z axis on the plane, and my X axis is pointing towards the. So I'm going to move my coordinate system to my top plane. Okay, so it's going to be 0 and okay, so now if I go to my top view, I'm able to create a line to help me build my center line again, since I was not able to put my coordinate system on right at the center of the top surface. So that's not a problem. I can just go ahead and create that set of lines. So if I click on the object and I hide it, then I have a set of lines with a center point. And I need that because I'm going to create another circle with diameter 22 millimeters, and the center point will be that intersection. So let's type 22, enter, and if you go to isometric view, you can see that the circle is right on top of the embedded in the circle. So it's not on my 0, 0 and the absolute coordinates. It's on a relative 0, 0, which will be 0 in the height portion of it. So it will be 0 with respect to this point, but it will be whatever this height is, which will be 40 plus 22.5, which that would be another way to place your coordinate system. Okay, now we don't want to extrude this circle. We can move that curve, actually, we can move it to construction curves. Okay, very well. And then we can hide those curves. If we wanted to. Alright. or we can actually go to the construction curve and hide the layer, which will be even easier. Alright, the next thing we want to do is create a polygon with six sides, because this part has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So number of sides is 6, and center of polygon will be that point right here, which is not letting me choose. So there you go. And then click on inscribed in circle. And then click the edge of the circle. Okay, that's good. And the next thing we need to do is extrude the polygon. So we can take this curve back to construction curves. And I don't like to delete parts because or objects, because it's really sometimes difficult to create some object on a 3D plane, on a 3D view. So I save them for later, or if I don't need them at the end, I just delete them. Okay, so what I can do now is extrude this part, and the thickness is something like 10 millimeters, 10.8, let's say 11 millimeters. Okay. So now we can show what we have, and actually we have one problem here, and that is that this thickness is 10 with respect to the top layer. So it's not 10, it's 10 plus 2.5. So let's go to create our thickness again and do let's do 13. Okay. And then we can show the objects. Okay, that's much closer, and it's because I'm extruding with respect to this disk. Sorry, I'm extruding with respect to the curve at the bottom of the disk, but the disk has a thickness, so I have to take that into consideration.